Hi everybody, this is Brad Dyke reaching out to you to say hi, how you doing? The reason why I was doing this particular video, this is a little bit off topic, but it's still related to technology. What we're talking about today is the real pain in the butt about docking stations. Now, docking stations are valuable because they give you the ability of being able to put out multiple displays, multiple additional USBs, add peripherals like NICs, different classes of USB interfaces, and so on and so on. And growing up in the world of computer technologies, eventually entering into the industry myself, I come from the days where docking stations were more of a platform that you would drop your laptop into and snap it into place, and it'd have a great deal of peripheral devices all around it that turned your laptop more into a PC kind of design. Well, today that's a little different. Like I said, they don't have the platform anymore. It's usually just a brick like this one, or is another one. That's a Dell docking station, and this is a Digital Link. This one's pretty decent for the make and model wise. It's got it's got 6 USB ports. It has 2 switchover video output ports for 2 different classes. It also has a NIC on board, which is what I prefer personally. You could always just simply get an USB hub and then use USB to video output dongles to be able to give yourself what you need. And of course, you've got this very large, abstruse style USB 3.0 connector interface, which will either go to an A or it'll go to a C USB backend connector. That would be 3.0 rated and down. They also come with power supplies. And so we're going to talk about this because I have blown out a bunch of these guys over the few years. And my OA technical support person, Jared, and I were kind of going back and forth. And I lost this docking station. I lost one of the front USB ports. And the NIC has gone flaky on me. And it's out of warranty, so I thought, well, what we're going to do is we're going to see if we can't make this kind of recover. It's not trustworthy. It's still going to go off to the pile. But the question is why? And the reason why I asked that question is because there are 2 kinds of ways you can do power outputs with docking stations. You can go the traditional 2-lead power supply. And what that basically is a 2-lead. There's no grounding connector on it whatsoever. And it basically doesn't resemble the 3 plug-up kind of configuration. It's just the 2. It's usually attached to a DC power supply, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But it does not have a grounding attribute to it in any way, shape, or form. And sometimes those tend to fail and damage the hardware. Excuse me. So, with that being the case, this particular footprint device fits that model. This DisplayLink pluggable is basically the typical power supply, 2-prong output, and plugs in with a small aux connector into the underside of the chassis. And it doesn't offer a great level of security when it comes to voltage loads. And if you're going to get into something that's important, better to have yourself what we call a 3 plug like this going into your power supply like this. And as you can see, this is the power supply that powers this particular Dell 13 series docking station. So if I've got ground, which is good, but this guy should not have inherited a problem because it was completely shielded and protected. I know that during the time period that it was connected before it failed, nothing was going on with the laptop. It was basically USB. So I took out the Dell, this guy right here, and I installed this guy, but I took the mounting plate on the bottom off. And as you can see, it's very similar in setup. Has 2 outputs on the front for USB. Came right up like that. Plug and play exactly the way it was supposed to. But here, when I'm looking at this guy, he doesn't want to acknowledge his resources. So it made me think, what if in reality we're not dealing with hardware that's failing, hardware that's actually very well built out, by the way. And as you can see, you've got the interface set here in play. And we're going to go ahead and plug this up. And now we're going live. We've got power now to this unit. Now with this unit, oh, wow, it's not powering up. I don't know why. It should be. Huh. That is very odd. Okay, so something definitely is going on with the docking station. When I decommissioned this docking station and I basically disconnected all the cabling and then I finally pulled this guy out, this hub will not recover. Which tells me that there's something definitely going on in the logic board itself. So what I'll probably end up doing is I'm going to send this back to my counterpart, Jared, who's excitingly waiting for this. Yes, we get excited about this kind of stuff. He's going to take a look at it too, but I'm not going to destroy the unit to confirm anything because that would be probably wrong in the spirit of testing. So my thought would be, instead, we should just go ahead and consider this a lost cause. But what I was going to do was I was going to go in and I was going to do a short out on the EPROM. Now you can do this a couple of different ways. One way is to do it try one more time. By shorting the EPROM set on this, you have the ability to allow it to clear the values and representation on the plug and play bias side of things, because the plug and play bias side does carry attributes that it will retain to make plug and play modes faster on repetitive reboots. Now all that basically means is, yes, it's still plug and play, but it's kind of got a cached set of settings saying, hey, these are the things I need to emulate when I come up so that these devices will do what I need to do. Now sometimes, to our total surprise, these can sometimes get stuck and the EPROM will not clear. I got nothing. This bad boy is dead. Huh. Oh well. So by going in, and in the old days in the older docking stations, you have to take the top cover off, find the jumper set for bias reset, terminate that guy for just a couple of seconds, and then it forgets everything and comes back in as a clean device, which is really cool, and you can recycle the device. Now this guy, he's gone. Yeah, he's no good. That's sad. Really, it is. Hate to say that, but anyways, I just hate to see stuff wasted, you know. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna just simply write this off. But I do like the power supply strategy. Now the thing about docking stations, it's really valuable, is now there are some really good docking stations out there. First, I'll say, that have the two-prong DC adapter connection for the DC power supply that runs a cable out to the unit, very similar to how this guy works. As you can see, he's very similar in functionality. But when you have an output that actually has a complete set of ground negative positives, and they're going into the power supply, this is a line conditioner in actuality, because it's conditioning the voltage load a lot more efficient, I should say. And this gives additional securities to the actual power supply that the single dual power supply does not have. And what do I mean by that? Let me just give you an example. So basically here we have a USB hub, as you can see here. And it's just a basic hub. It's great for a little work. And then you've got a 2-lead connector power supply. And this guy is very simple. Not much to him. And they've got the normal aux connector. And this is a DC aux connector. So when you plug these in, they only last for so long, usually on average. And they usually don't last efficiently enough to be the greatest kind of source of power. So it's recommended that you go with a 3 ground if you can, opposed to a 2 AC connection adapter head, and that way you'll be able to give yourself a little bit more functionality. So with this guy here, let me see if I can find another docking station. Hang on just a minute. Okay, so I was able to find one that went bad on me 2 years ago. And so it's very much like, not quite the same as the new one I've got, which is a lot more advanced. This is the new one, and this one is a little less functional. But we pull this guy out and we look at it, and we see its design. It's got basically 2 HDMI outputs, a couple of USB ports, a network card, which is the biggest reason why I get these, additional USB ports on the front, and audio output as well as an audio sound card. And as you can see, these little guys, on their feed setups, they are capable of doing quite a bit. And there are 4 little screws here, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now this one actually has a video problem on the ports. It's actually not so much a NIC problem. But you can remove the 4 screws here, as you can see here. One there, one there, one there, one there. And you can slide this part out successfully. So when you do that, you're going to have a little bit of exposure to it. And I'll go ahead and take this off real quick. Go ahead and lower this down for you. So when you're taking these down or apart, understand that obviously they're not going to be any good for you. And these definitely don't compare in regards to the old style docking stations, which in my opinion were far better. They cost more. They were a couple hundred, $200 or $300, but they really worked well in that regard. And they just lasted forever. Too many times did you find people recycling their docking stations, transitioning to the next model up, but still using the old ones because they liked them the best. Now, another key thing about these docking stations, these aren't really docking stations. These are USB distribution centers, basically. A docking station, in truth, is a locking in, interlocking mechanism station that attaches itself to your laptop and plugs in through what's called a high data bus connector, an edge connector. Similar to like PCI, as an example. Okay, so now, should have this ready to be clear now. Hang on a second. Oh, jeez, sorry about that. Came up a little too easy there for a second. Alright, so, anyways, I've got the cover off now. And then right here, as you're seeing it, is the adapter set here. And let me look for it. Looks like they took the pins off, but it's right in that area there. And this one actually does work and it doesn't at the same time. And this power supply, by the way, looks almost exactly like the power supply of the new unit. But we'll go ahead and just power it up with the heck. Okay, we've got ourselves power. Alright, so we know that we basically have the core functionality in it. So what we'll do next is we will take it apart more successfully. Please note, as I'm working with this is a static discharge mat, so it can discharge any static electricity that builds up. Plus, this room has a static matting in the bottom, so it pulls static electricity off the concrete as well to keep everything in good shape. Doesn't take much to do it, but if you do it, it really does add a little extra layer of protection, right? Okay. Alright, here are the base plates here. And if you look closely, you'll see on the base plates there is aluminum cloth tape used to maintain the placement of the plate, which, by the way, also has exposed metal on it as well as added additional grounding effect. Now, this right here, I do suspect is one of the reasons why these are so susceptible to damage. Because as you're making the grounding points and the the electronically conductive tape in its play, you're creating something of a boson effect with the electrical fields, and therefore they're more prone to possibly transition. So if you look, the NIC, go figure, the power, and the USB outputs are all centrally sharing the same common factor. So the problem I get with these guys is they tend to pop these ports for some erroneous reason. I don't know why. It wasn't like the old days with docking stations where you could go in, find the grounding point, or in this case the bias grounding point, which is right here. Unfortunately, they've taken the pins out and they put what looks like a variant resistor in there instead, which is interesting. That kind of means that they're resetting the bias for the EPROM over and over and over. We've got a cache chip here, we've got the processor, we've got the bus chip, we've got the network card adapter kit right here, and we've got, here's the USB, there's the video distributor, there's the chipset, there's the NIC, there's the RAM. This guy right here is probably the one which we need to look at. But the key thing about this is this unit doesn't want to function anymore. And so this is this is one of the three that I've lost in the span of the past 3 or 4 months. I'm sorry, 3 or 4 years. So with that being said, I was hoping I could find a way where I could short it out. And by shorting it out, it would allow me to be able to clear the EPROM, see if the hardware could recover or not. But unfortunately, not going to happen. They designed this to fail, in my opinion. And the sad part about all of this is also the newer version of the same module, which was put into service. That's saying something. So I wonder, I'll have to look, but I wonder if I have that same taping going on with the new unit itself. So don't mind me. I'm very finicky. I don't like leaving parts out. So I try to put everything back into its proper home, basically, so that everything and everybody is happy, right? Yep. So we are back together. There it is. and we'll basically kind of keep the components together so that we don't lose everything. That's a bad thing, right? And all in all, I mean, it's really a bummer that as functional as this stuff is, its survivability just isn't there. I mean, it's just, even this particular brand of a USB media station, it is so sub-rated. Do I recommend multimedia stations? Yeah, I do. I think USB, they offer you a value to a certain point. They give you expandability, that's for sure. And the key thing about that is, even if it only works for a year or two, at least you would have the ability of making your laptop, which is the biggest thing I would do this for, is making your laptop scalable, and then get yourself in a place where you would be able to accomplish the end game of having a lot of I/O going in and out of your laptop from just different sources of despondent functionality. So, but with that being said, the other key thing is quality does matter, guys, and I'm frankly at a just totally turned off about most of them because they're all just so antiquated. When it comes to, you know, good surviving hardware, they're just not surviving. So, you know, yeah, you're probably going to be okay, you know, continuing to buy them, but you're going to be buying them over and over and over. Or if you're traveling, it wouldn't hurt to have a backup one just in case. If you do what's called long-term travel, where you travel from place to place for 6 months or a year, these will definitely be more prone to failing because of that particular type of activity, traveling. Especially if in different countries, because you have different power requirements, and that can cause problems both locally in the building, depending on their rating of electrical wiring, because RF does exist in many places, and it can be as equally present in the air around your gear, and we call that RF radiation. FCC makes us do a lot of things to restrict that RF, that radiating frequency, and get it compartmentalized as much as possible. But that's not the same case for Mexico or Spain or London or, you know, other locations that actually are like, no, we don't really care. And they're right, they don't, because for instance, in Japan, they do electrical wiring completely different than that of America, which does it differently than that in the EU or in the Ukraine or in Mexico and so on. And they're just different standards all over the place. And that's okay, as long as you've got the right conversion kits that can allow you to transition their version of power into something you can use. And if you're smart about it, you'll have what's called a line conditioner. Now, what do I consider a line conditioner? Let me show you. This little guy is a great little line conditioner. It's also mobile. You can do it sideways and so on. It also has USB outputs and has a standard American interface, but you can put plug adapters on this and extension cords from here to plug into any kind of standard you want. But the key thing is inside this guy, specifically on this side of it, is a line conditioner. It's just a small capacitor variance that kind of straightens out the electrical current to a certain degree and gives you functionality and protection, like a UPS line conditioner. So with that being said, you could have a UPS. That's not going to be easy, because UPS battery-based versions are heavy. Line conditioner UPSs are also known as line conditioner surge strips. They're larger, they have space on the side to handle the electrical circuitry, and they basically kind of end the current with one side of the surge strip conditioner and begin a new current that's fully vetted and fully filtered on the other side. It's also valuable if you're very familiar with the nature of how we can maybe listen to your network traffic through your AC adapter. Having a line conditioner eliminates that problem. Yes, that's for all you espionage nuts out there. Your AC power lines are considered a network, and you could tap into them and transmit data or receive data or listen to data if the conditions are right. But anyways, I thought this would be a cool little experiment video about something that frustrates me right now with laptop acting as our only primary kind of standard in the future. I'm not a big advocate of laptops outside of mobility. That's where they're valued. They're just you can pick it up and go. Perfect reason for it. To use it as an all-hands replacement for your personal computing needs, nah, not even close. Not even freaking anywhere near close. Unless you don't do PC work and you're just browsing the internet. If you're going to do that, get a Raspberry Pi and clear your desk of all that paraphernalia, because you just don't need it. Just a Raspberry Pi, a monitor, mouse, and keyboard, and you have everything you want, because everything else is done online and you're not doing personal computing. You're just doing remote access for the most part. Well, this is Brad Dyke. I just wanted to put this video out real quick and say God bless. I hope you guys have a great week coming, and you take care. Bye-bye.